Okay, so here we are. We're looking at the sound system in the container. Obviously, you've just had you've had a look at the lighting desk, which is this thing here. This one here is basically the Midas mixer cum rack interface. Below the Midas rack interface is the radio mics. These are there is two channels per rack. So basically you got channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. Inside the drawer here we have radio mics, and we also have standard wired microphones, and in one of the flight cases we have DI boxes, so which are for instruments like keyboard, guitar, what have you. Okay, let's look at the Midas mixer, which is basically the brains and the heart of the machine. Okay, so what we've got here on the top row is, these are the inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 8 on that one, and then basically 9 to 16 on the bottom row. They will either take a microphone input, which is an XLR, or they will take a jack. Along here we have 2 line inputs, which just basically come in as auxiliary input. You've just got a 1 fader on that. This is where your headphones plug in, just here. Then on the bottom row, 1 to 6 are for monitor outputs. So basically for the wedge monitors that go on the front of the stage, 1 to 6. So you can have 6 different mixes if you like. This is the wedge monitor, which basically sits on the front of the stage. We are going to talk about the controls on the back of the wedge monitor. So mains input right here, main switch right there. That switches it on and off. You can tell if it's on because the little blue light comes on. Bass and treble, bass, treble, and then there is a line pot. Let me just take that out so you can see it better. Line pot, which wants to be all the way up. These want to be set to 12 o'clock because basically we're doing all the EQ in the mixer. We don't need to EQ on here. But these are very, very useful in the next thing that I'm going to tell you about. So, line input all the way up, master input all the way up. Because again, it's being controlled by the mixer, so you don't need to worry about it. Input goes in here. Line input, not the mic input, the line input. Okay? If you do that, it'll feed back. But 1, 2, 1, 2, there you go, it's working. So line input all the way up, master input all the way up. Okay, that's easy. So, and that'll work with radio mics and L mics, no matter what. On here is another little control, and it's called mic inputs. Plug a microphone direct into here. So let's say, for instance, that you're thinking about, I'm just going to take this and put it in a church or in a school or something like that, and I want to preach with just this box as it stands. So you can plug it in there, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then you can alter the treble and bass as per what you need. Yeah, turn it down, and then for a gig, you'd plug it into the mixer and then direct into the line input. But this gives you an absolutely brilliant thing for when you want to just pitch up at a school, or you want to pitch up at church, or you want to pitch up in a village hall and you've got power. You can toot, 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 just turn that and off you go. The next 2 connectors are the main left and main right. These 2 feeds go to the left and right PA, and obviously from the left and right PA it goes down to the sub. So You may be wondering, how on earth do I control that? Well, this is all controlled by an iPad. At the moment, we've just got this on wireless access point. This is this little switch here. You can have it on Wi-Fi specific IP address, or you can have it on an Ethernet cable. You plug it direct into an Ethernet cable. Obviously you can't do that with an iPad. So, to get your iPad to work, this is the iPad that we will be supplying with the container. So we need to get in there. There we go. So the code at this moment in time is 111111. Simple, eh? Obviously you might want to change that at a later date, but for now it's just 111. Okay, the app that you will be using is this little one here. It's got a big M on it, which is the Midas app. But first, before you go there, you need to go to this little thing here, which is your settings, and you need to check that the Wi-Fi is connected to MR16, not to your local house Wi-Fi for your hotel or anything like that. It must be on that or it won't work. So this is very, very important that you understand that it's on that one. Okay, so then when you go onto here, that should come up, or it will say connect to that. Okay, so we have channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, and these are the radio channels, and channel 1 has a blue label. Channel, you see how it's got black? So, in other words, for the radio mic, we'll come back to the mixer in a moment. The radio mic, this is how you unscrew it, like this. Don't screw it up too tight. Obviously, look at which way the battery goes in, negative to the end. And then the on button is here. That's the frequency number, 60870. And if you look at where 60870 is, it's on the bottom row. So this one is actually radio mic 4. 2, 2, 2. Can you see the green light coming on? 2, 2, 2. That's radio mic 4. Working. 2. So you can see that it's coming. This is the master fader. When we push the master fader up, you can hear it in the PA. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Along here, on this side, are the mixes. The top one is the main mix that's coming out of the PA. Okay? So when you press the button, it says main. This is all coming out of the PA. If you see a red button at the bottom there, that's red. That's the mute, which mute is basically on off. If you want it to come out to the monitors on the front of the stage, you either have to select mix 1 or mix 2 or mix 3 if that be the case. And as long as the fader, you see this is now going to mix 1. If I go to the next one, same mic, can you see that? That's now going to mix 2. So we've got 4 radio mics. That's the 4 radio mics that are in here, which we've tested and they all work, which is great. And then you have SM58s, and they plug into 5 and 6. So you just get a microphone cable and you plug it into that one and plug it into that one. I will leave it so they're all on. If you want to switch them off, you have to press the button, which is that. Or pull the fader down, which is that. See that? That goes up and down with my finger. You can move along here and you see more and more microphone channels because there are more and more microphone channels on here. So as you grab hold of it with your finger, it pulls more and more microphone channels along. So after these two, which were the SM58 wired microphones, which is these, you then have the DI box feeds, which are DI1, DI2, which is 7 and 8, DI1, DI2. So you can have a keyboard or a piano or something like that on those feeds. After that, we have the playback feed, which is this two, and you'll notice that I've programmed this up. This is playback left, playback right. So when you push any fader, it brings the other one up as well. Okay, see that? So that's for playback, for music. And again, on this page here, main page, it will only come out of the left and right of the sound system. If you want it to come out of the monitors, you need to go to the mix or bus fader, and then you'd fade it up there. And again, the same thing. Look, the fader comes up and down with the one next to it. If I grab that one, it does the same. So, and the same with the video feed. Video audio plugs in here. So you come out with your laptop, you plug it in there, and then basically the audio feed from your video comes in here, the HDMI goes in there, and that goes up to the projector. So now the technical bit. You thought that was technical, this is the technical bit. Okay, so each individual, as you can see on here, each individual fader has like boxes. If I push this top one here, there's a number of controls here. So it gives me link, allows me to link other faders together, or gain, which is this one here. That's the input sensitivity. The ones that I've set you shouldn't need to alter, but you can, by touching it, bring more volume or less volume just by going like that. See that? It wants to be about there really. Then there is a USB gain. There's a switch at the top, so you can switch to USB or mic. For the purpose of what you're doing out in Africa, you just want mic. So if it's on mic, you'll be good. If it's on USB, that's a whole nother level of complexity that you need to understand. So I wouldn't bother with it unless you've already taken a course in audio or something. Then you have a HF frequency, which basically is a bypass. I wouldn't bother with that because basically we're going to look at EQ in a moment, and that will tell us everything that we need to know. You can then, on our same fader, there's a menu across the top here. So you can go to sends, and that is basically this one microphone here I can send to. Remember what we talked about buses? I can send it to bus 1, bus 2, bus 3, whatever mix that I want to send it to, I can send it to. This is another way of getting to it without having to go down this way here. Okay, the next thing is gate. Forget it. unless you're doing a really tight drum kit sound, you don't need it. Dynamics, that's compressors. You might well need that, because if you've got somebody that screams and shouts and, you know, you might want to set the compressor threshold so that they don't overload the PA or make it too loud or what have you. So you can do that by grabbing that fader and adjusting it to suit. At the moment it's in bypass, and you have to press the dynamic button, that button there, to switch it on. The next one is EQ. So this is the same microphone. Each one of these has got the same controls. So you might be wondering, what's these 4 dots for? So all you need to do to alter the EQ is, that's cut, that's boost. Okay? At the moment you can see it's a wide curve like that. If you go over here, you can make it even wider, or you can make it very narrow like that. Okay? Again, unless you know what you're doing, you're probably better off not doing. So after that, we have inserts. You're not going to use that. Presets, you're not going to use that. Outputs, that basically allows you to pan left or right. The basics are what you see on the screen here. For this channel, we fade up, volume comes up, volume comes down. If we want to go into monitors, we fade that up, fade that down. Very simple. To some of you who have already used this, this will be easy. It looks like a different interface, but it's not. It's exactly the same interface as what's on the Behringer unit that you've got out there already. If you scroll all the way over here, there are things called effects. On the channel 1, you've got a reverb, which is a vintage reverb. On channel 2, you've got a hall reverb. Channel 3, you've got an echo. And channel 4, you've got a chorus. So you'd use a chorus on a guitar or something like that. I can't imagine that you're going to use echo. But you may do. You may want to go, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You may. I don't know. Reverbs are great for singers. Not so good for preachers, because basically you want the preacher's words to be as precise as possible, so that people are going away with the message in their ear and they're not listening to this big reverb canyon sound. So as clean and clear as possible. So how do you get that on, you may ask? So basically, to get it to work, you have to go FX1. That's the master input. That's the master input. Then you go over to your, let's say you wanted the SM58 to have reverb on it. Down here on the bottom, you have FX1. That's that one there. And all you would do is push up the fader, and you can see it's changing there. You can see that coming on. That's now sending that microphone to the reverb. That can switch it off like that. That will just switch the reverb off. If you don't want the reverb, pull it out, and then back to normal faders. And then you can scroll down the end. You think, I don't like reverb, I don't want any of that, you just fade them down. I faded them down in the meanwhile, because I think you should be a little bit more advanced before you get to putting reverb onto preachers' vocals and stuff like that. But obviously if you already know what you're doing, no problem at all. Now that we've explained all that, you may be thinking to yourself, well, what happens if it all goes wrong? Or what happens if I if I manage to get an absolutely amazing show and I want to save it so that next time it's easier. Right, here we go with it then. So there is a function along the top and it says shows, okay, which opens up this little window here. In the window there is David's show and new scene, okay? So basically, if it all goes horribly wrong and you need to get back to the start, you just go here, you press that button there, so load that, and it basically says save or load, okay? So you obviously want, at this point in time, you want to load. So all it does is you press that little blue thing comes along there like that, and basically it's loaded our show. So we're back to normal. There it is, it's loaded it. Takes a little while, you have to wait. So if you say, right, okay, I've done the best show that I've ever done and I want to save it, so find yourself a space, add show, there it is, and we'll call this CLIENT, which is the client show, yeah. But technically all you've done is load a show. You haven't loaded a scene. You haven't loaded any real data. So go to that. This one here, like a little book. Go there, and that's now loaded a show, client, and basically your new show. So if you think, oh my word, I wish I hadn't loaded that, that was horrible, you know, you can alter it by, you have to load another show. So let's go back to David's preset, load show. So it's now loading my show and my new scene. Let's get the new scene in there, load. There it is. Give it a second or two while it thinks about it. And then we go up here. Let's click on that one. We go, and there's a little bin. It's just like your normal iPhone or whatever. A little bin appears. Go on the bin. And it deletes it instantly. So let's go to that one. There we go, gone. So the only one in there at the moment is the David's preset. That's me, by the way. David's preset. What I'll do is I'll load 2 David presets in case you delete. In fact, we'll do that now. We'll do a new show. Save. So you got David's preset 1, David's preset 2. Back to your normal show. There is a button called routing, and basically it goes like that. That means 1 for 1. So channel 1 comes up in channel 1, channel 2 comes up in channel 2. So you do not need to alter that. You can alter it just by, the minute you touch it there like that, it changes. That has now made that channel 3 is now channel 10, which is madness. So so now channel 3 is channel 3. If in doubt, go to shows, load David's preset, and you'll be off and running again. Remember to charge this up, and it charges up better on power, actual real mains rather than on generator mains.